What's up everybody? In this video, I'm going to go through how I built this rustic bench for under $50 using basic tools and a little bit of know-how. Not a lot of know-how, a little bit. So it's perfect for beginners. I'll go through how I designed the bench, assembled the bench, but also how I finished the bench. Because believe it or not, this is not a stained finish. This is a fire finish, which gives it this cool carbon black look, and it will never rot on you. So you can leave it outside all year and not feel bad about it. Sound good? Let's get into it. For this project, I used 6 8-foot 2x4s and one 10-foot 2x8. We're not using pressure-treated lumber though. Pressure-treated lumber lets off some nasty chemicals when you burn it, so I like to avoid that. A great way to save a couple bucks on a project like this is to look through the cull lumber pile at your local home center. The boards may be ugly, but if you know you're going to cut them down, you can work around the bad spots. You can usually find these boards for 75% off, so it's worth the effort. All right, well, we've got everything cut to size finally. That took about 30 minutes on the chop saw, so pretty quick. So now my next step to make this look a little less off-the-shelf 2x4 and a little bit more is to take all the beveled edges off of these 2x4s and 2x6s and 2x8s. So we're going to run all of these through the table saw, and we're going to take off about 1/4 of an inch on each side and take these down to 3 inches and 4 inches and 6 inches respectively. So we get nice even numbers to work with. On the fly math is not always my strong suit, so if we can keep it nice flat numbers, that makes it easy for me and probably for you as well. It's not easy to freehand a curve, but if you know your start point and your end point, you can tie a string in between those 2 points and use that as a guide for your curve. When you have 2 pieces that are roughly cut out, a great way to keep them identical is to clamp them together and then sand them. Cull boards might not always have the prettiest face, so you will have to sand them down. It might take a while. Everything gets pre-drilled and countersunk and then assembled with stainless steel screws. Where the legs attach to the bench, I countersink with a Forstner bit and then pre-drill so that I can send a 5-inch stainless steel lag screw through. If you're interested in building this bench for yourself, hit me up in the comments below. I have a full SketchUp file and cut list for you that I'd be happy to share. All right, well, this is every piece cut, assembled, sanded, routed, pretty much right and ready for finish. So I want to do a different finish this time. I'm not going to use stain. I'm going to use the traditional Japanese technique of Shou Sugi Ban or Yakisugi or whatever you want to call it. It's taking fire and burning the surface. It looks more intimidating than it actually is. It's hard to mess it up. Unless you absolutely scorch it and turn it into kindling, there's not a whole lot you can mess up on it. If you do screw up on it, you can always sand it back. You're only burning the surface. If you're going to use thin wood, probably anything less than 2 inches, know that when you burn it, it's going to bend and it's going to warp. When you burn it, it's going to contract. So if you've glued up any sort of panel that you're going to try to burn, know that it's probably going to contract on you. You're going to get a little bit of spacing, a little bit of gappage. Glue does not hold up to fire very well, so keep that in mind. So if you are going to try to do it for like a fine piece finish, go low and slow, and just be aware that it's a rustic finish, so expect rustic results. That being said, a lot of people will use a little propane torch like this to do their finish, which is great. It will take you forever and a half to do it though. You're working more or less with a 1/2 inch flame. I don't got that kind of time. So I'm gonna use something a little bigger, weed burning torches. Much bigger, much scary, much more fun. Uh-oh. That'll work. All right, well, while the rest of the boards are cooling off, I'm gonna work on this one. So I go for like the dark carbon look. If you're using pine, you can see some of the areas have knots in it that don't really burn. You can use the carbon in the wood almost like a stain. So what I like to do is take a rag and just kind of work at it. The area, the front up here is not too bad, but I can work away some of the char if you don't like that charred texture. You see, as you kind of polish this and work it down, it doesn't, it kind of smooths out almost like you've sanded it again. So this is actually pretty nice and smooth. I'm happy with that. Now obviously when you burn something, you're going to get some char, so we need to seal that up. I'm going to use the same finish that I used on the Adirondack chairs a few months ago. It's a 50-50 mix of mineral spirits and spar urethane. Now it's clean to the touch. No charcoal butts for me. No project is finished without a solar light. Well, hey, that's it. Thanks for sticking around and watching. Hope you learned something, and I'll see you on the next one. Well, my neighbors are outside again. We're probably wondering what that dumb guy next door is doing talking to a camera. Why doesn't he have any friends? Why is he sitting here talking to a camera? Where are his children? Where's his wife? All questions I don't know the answer to.